You're listening to Full Circle Weekly News. These articles are compiled by Eric the Unready, and I'm your host, Moss Bliss. This is episode 384, covering week 37, September 9th to 15th, 2024. GTK 4.16.0 GUI Toolkit has been released. GTK 4 follows a development process that tries to provide application developers with a stable and supported API for several years that they can use without having to rework their applications every 6 months because of API changes in the next GTK branch. The Redux 0.9 operating system has been published, developed using the Rust language and the microkernel concept. The project's code is distributed under the MIT license for testing Redux OS. Bootable live environments for real hardware and system images for virtual machines were prepared for the x86, 64, and i686 architectures. The demo image includes a DOSBox emulator, a selection of games, educational programs, Rodeo Play music player with support for FLAC and WAV formats, a NetSurf web browser, an image viewer, Sodium console text editor, file manager, terminal emulator, and a text editor from the Cosmic project. There is support for Slint, Iced, and WinInit GUI libraries. The user environment is built on their own orbital graphical shell, now developed using the Iced library. The project develops its own package manager, a set of standard utilities, the Ion command shell, the relibc standard C library, the Sodium text editor, a network stack, and a file system. Configuration is specified in the Tamil language. Support hardware includes USB input devices, graphics output via VISA BIOS API or UEFI GOP. GPU drivers are not supported. AC97 and Intel HD audio sound chips, SATA, and NVMe. Support for Wi-Fi and USB storage devices is not yet ready. The graphical environment has been tested on Lenovo IdeaPad Y510P, System 76 Galago Pro, and System 76 Lemur Pro laptops. Support for other laptops is provided with certain restrictions. Raspberry Pi 3 Model B Plus is supported. The Droidian 99 project is now available, developing a build based on Debian intended for use on smartphones. The Phosh shell, based on GNOME technologies in the GTK library, is offered as a graphical environment. The system and user environments are built using the Debian and Mobian repositories. Unlike the Mobian distribution, which is aimed at use on certain boards and specialized Linux smartphones, Droidian is focused on installation on regular Android smartphones. To ensure compatibility with smartphone hardware, Droidian uses the Android platform kernel, a set of system components from the Halium project, and the libhybris layer, which allows you to use drivers created for the Android platform and running in user space. The Wadroid platform is used to run Android applications from a Debian-based environment. The Ophono 2MM stack is used to solve problems related to telephony and making calls. Installation of additional programs as Flatpaks is supported. The list of phones Droidian is currently supported on is growing. See the link in the show notes for details. Radical 1.0 is out. It is aimed at creating a decentralized service for collaborative development and storage of code, similar to GitHub and GitLab, but not tied to specific servers, not subject to censorship, and working using the resources of P2P network participants. The 1.0 release marks the stabilization of the protocol and the readiness of the platform for widespread use. Starting with this release, the protocol will be changed while maintaining backward compatibility, and the toolkit will include the ability to seamlessly update existing systems to the new version. The project's code is written in Rust and distributed under Apache 2.0 and MIT licenses. Builds are prepared for Linux and Mac OS. A desktop client, web interface, and console interface are being developed for the platform. Radical allows you to be independent of centralized platforms and corporations when developing and distributing code, since being tied to them introduces additional risks. Radical uses Git to manage code, expanded by means of defining repositories in a P2P network. All data is primarily saved locally and is always available on the developer's computer, regardless of the state of the network connection. Contributors provide access to their code and related artifacts, such as patches and issues, which are stored locally and replicated to other interested developers' nodes. The end result is a global decentralized Git repository with data replicated and duplicated across contributors' systems. The Gossip protocol is used to identify neighboring nodes in the network, and the Heartwood protocol, based on Git, is used to replicate data between nodes. Since the protocol is based on Git, the platform can be easily integrated with existing Git development tools. Public key cryptography is used to identify nodes and verify repositories without the use of accounts. On user systems, Radical repositories are stored as regular Git repositories, with additional namespaces to store data about peers and forks that are being worked on. Discussions, proposed patches, and review organization components are also stored in the Git repository as collaborative objects, COBs, and replicated between peers. The Gentoo project announced the resumption of work on the MIPS and Alpha architectures. Thanks to the emergence of enthusiasts interested in using these architectures, current stage builds and binary packages have been published for MIPS and Alpha, and processes for checking the dependency tree and testing in the continuous integration system have been established. For MIPS, support is provided for the O32, N32, and N64 ABIs in Big Endian and Little Endian variants. For Alpha, in addition to stage builds, an installation CD image has also been prepared. Ardour 8.7 has been published, designed for multi-channel recording, processing, and mixing of sound. Ardour provides a multi-track timescale, unlimited level of rollback of changes during the entire time you work with a file, even after closing the program, and support for various hardware interfaces. The code is distributed under the GPL v2 license. Unofficial builds for Linux will be available soon in the Flatpak format. Ubuntu 22.04.5 LTS has been released, including changes related to improved hardware support, a kernel update, and bug fixes in the installer and bootloader. The package also includes current updates for several hundred packages related to the elimination of vulnerabilities and problems affecting stability. Similar updates for all official flavors were also released. The release includes some improvements backported from the Ubuntu 24.04 release. In particular, packages with the 6.8 kernel are offered for cloud services from Google, Oracle, AWS, and Azure, as well as for the RISC-V platform and configurations requiring minimal latency. For other cases, the graphics drivers packages have been updated. Support for new Synaptics devices has been added. RISC-V builds of Ubuntu Desktop and Ubuntu Desktop Minimal have been added. Support for the release of Ubuntu 22.04 will last until April 2027. After that, updates will be generated for another 7 years as part of separate paid support. The Maestro project is developing a console music player aimed at creating the most functional tool for listening to music in the console. It supports such features as working with playlists, playing music from YouTube, YouTube Music, and Spotify, visualizing the sound waves in the terminal, downloading, displaying, and translating song lyrics into other languages, creating clips for playing only part of a composition, and integration with Discord. The project code is written in Python and is distributed under the MIT license. Support for MP3, WAV, FLAC, and OGG formats is mentioned. The player is cross-platform and can be used in Linux, macOS, and Windows. Compositions can be filtered based on tag binding. There are built-in capabilities for analyzing statistics. A recommendation request is supported with a selection of similar songs from YouTube Music. Shotcut 24.09 video editor is now available. It is developed by the author of the MLT project and uses that framework to do video editing. Support for video and audio formats are implemented via FFmpeg. You can use plugins with the implementation of video and audio effects compatible with Frior and Ladspa. Shotcut features include the ability to multi-track editing with video composition from fragments in various source formats without the need for their preliminary import or recording. There are built-in tools for creating screencasts, processing images from a web camera, and receiving streaming video. The interface was built with Qt. The code is written in C++ and is distributed under the GPL v3 license. Ready-made assemblies are available for Linux as AppImage, Flatpak, and Snap, Mac OS, and Windows. The fifth beta release of the Haiku R1 operating system has been published. The project was initially created under the name OpenBIOS, but was renamed in 2004 due to claims related to the use of the BIOS trademark in the name. Several bootable live images have been prepared to evaluate the new release. The source code for most of Haiku OS is distributed under the free MIT license, with the exception of some libraries, media codecs, and components borrowed from other projects. Haiku OS is aimed at personal computers, uses its own kernel, is built on a modular architecture, is optimized for high responsiveness to user actions, and efficient execution of multi-threaded applications. An object-oriented API is provided for developers. The system is directly based on BIOS 5 technologies and is aimed at binary compatibilities with BIOS. OpenBFS is used as a file system, supporting extended file attributes, journaling, 64-bit pointers, support for storing meta tags and special indices to speed up retrieval. B+tree trees are used to organize the directory structure. From the BIOS code, Haiku includes the tracker file manager and the deskbar panel, the source code of which was opened after BIOS shut down. The Nextcloud Hub 9 platform was released, providing a self-sufficient solution for the collaboration of employees of enterprises and teams developing various projects. At the same time, the Nextcloud 30 cloud platform, which is the basis of Nextcloud Hub, was published, allowing you to deploy cloud storage with support for synchronization and data exchange, providing the ability to view and edit data from any device at any point in the network. The Nextcloud server can be deployed on any hosting that supports the execution of PHP scripts and provides access to SQLite, MariaDB, MySQL, or PostgreSQL. The Nextcloud source code is distributed under the AGPL license. Nextcloud Hub resembles Google Docs and Microsoft 365, but allows you to deploy a fully controlled collaborative infrastructure that operates on its own servers and is not tied to external cloud services. Nextcloud Hub combines several open-source add-on applications over the Nextcloud cloud platform into a single environment, allowing you to work together on Office documents, files, and information for planning, tasks, and events. The platform also includes add-ons for accessing email, exchanging messages, organizing video conferences, and chats. The developers of the Samba project announced that they have received an investment of 688,000 euros from the Sovereign Tech Fund, established in Germany to stimulate the development of open digital infrastructure and open source ecosystems. STF was created with funds provided by the German Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Protection and is supervised by the Federal Agency for Disruptive Innovations, SPRIND. The decision to invest was made after an application was submitted by CERNET, which manages the Samba trademark in Germany on behalf of the international developer community and develops the Samba Plus project for enterprises. The investment program provides for work to be carried out over 18 months, ending February 28, 2026. Over the course of the 18 months, Samba developers employed by CERNET will complete 17 projects aimed at enhancing Samba's capabilities to improve security, scalability, and add additional functionality. All work will be done in an open manner and using the same processes used in Samba development. You've been listening to Full Circle Weekly News. For more details, see the next issue of the magazine at fullcirclemagazine.org or check the links in the show notes. You can contact me at bardmoss@pm.me. I'll see you next week.